what to expect for tonight's NBA slate, college basketball, and what the Vikings news of a new starting quarterback means for this weekend. All that and more on the Golden Ticket Show. Welcome back, everyone, for another edition of our Lunchtime Locks. If you followed along with us yesterday, hope you all had a great start to your day. We've been doing pretty well yesterday. We had, let's see, as I'm pulling up the record sheet here, yesterday we had where is it? Decided not to show up on me today. Yesterday, we had a nice little 0.7 unit when we went 6-3 according to our records here, which for some reason have decided not to work with me right as the show starts. So that's always good. Here we go. We were 5-3 yesterday with a 0.64 unit profit. The Oral Roberts plus 13.5 was never in doubt. They lost by 6 in that game. USF minus 17 was a little bit of a sweat. They won by 18 points against Pine Bluff, who just kind of seemed to turn it on yesterday. Don't worry, DJ. We'll get to that. I got you, man. We got you with a good one here today. Jokic over 21.5 rebounds and assists was a very tough loss for us last night. If you saw the game, Jokic got ejected in the first half, and in the first half alone, he had 15 rebounds and assists. He had 9 rebounds, 6 assists in 15 minutes. So that would have hit. So we're going to say technically 5-2 with an asterisk on the 1 there. Phoenix -1. They won by 3. I actually took them -3 earlier that day too, so that voided out. Real Madrid, both teams to score against Union Berlin. That game was a 3-2 score. Our parlay we had posted of Curry, Booker, and Doncic missed by just 1 point. So that was a very tough one. But our parlay of the day of Booker 25 plus points and a record 4 rebounds, cash with a 4-rebound, 27-point outing from Devin Booker. So there we have it. That was our slate yesterday. Let's get into today. So now we don't have any Euro plays today. I had a parlay I put together. If you guys follow us over on Pickett, at Gotham Gambling, we posted that over there. I just wasn't too confident enough to bring it over towards Twitter and bring it on the show. But yeah, no plays today. There's a couple of good games. I think I'm saving some of my money on soccer for Premier League starting on Friday. We do have a good play that we have already put together. I'm going to pull it up here in a second, see if I can't remember if it's for Friday or Saturday. It is for Friday. We took Chelsea to win and Tottenham to win at plus 120 money line going up against Sheffield United and Nottingham Forest, 2 teams fighting for the bottom tier of the conference. So that's a Friday, Saturday play for us that we had locked in for soccer. So the big news obviously comes out last night that Nick Mullins will start over Joshua Dobbs this week going against the Bengals. And I'm really curious about that because I did not see that much from Mullins that justified this line. The line didn't move whatsoever from the news that he was taking over. The line didn't move. The money line really didn't move. And the over-under didn't really move. So I was actually kind of surprised by that. I mean, obviously you're going against a backup quarterback, but I don't see anything this Vikings team is going to do. So we added we added into our best plays for today. We added Bengals money line for the upcoming week, as well as Bengals -3 before it jumped up to 3.5. So those are two that we have added in here. So yeah, other than that, I don't see anything Nick Mullins is going to do that's going to be better than Josh Dobbs. And the way Browning has been playing with this team is actually a lot better than I thought. I don't think this is a letdown spot. I think it's going to be a little weird for them playing on a Saturday, but I think the Bengals are going to pull this one out. That's why I put a 1.5 unit on the money line and 1 unit on the spread, just in case they don't cover and they still win the game by like 2, or even if they win by 3 and you get a void. But that's what we have for NFL. You'll see it right there on the bottom of the screen as it's coming up. -180 is the odds on the money line. But now let's go to NCAA. We were 2-1 yesterday. USF, I thought was going to be a low-scoring game, and that was probably one of the highest-scoring games of the season. There was 190 points scored between both teams. We took under 161, so we missed that one by a lot. And so we have 2 plays as of now. Well, technically we have 3, but one's a little mixed parlay with the NBA. So you'll see them kind of coming up on the bottom of the screen over here. First play is Liberty -13.5. I love this play. Liberty has been one of those teams I have been really excited to watch. Their head coach comes from under Tony Bennett, who's one of the best defensive-minded coaches in college basketball. If you ever watch Virginia play, they do not give up points very often. They're very disciplined on defense, and so is this Liberty team. Liberty is playing top-tier defense, and they are impossible to drive against this year, which is a problem for Tennessee State. Tennessee State is a team that thrives on drive and kick. They're not going to have as much opportunity, and they live and die with a three-point shot, which I think Liberty is more than willing to take. Now, the spread's at 14.5 now, which is a little bit higher than I personally would like. But so I think this is the max you could take it. If it goes up to 15, I would stay away. That's not something I like touching, is 15 in a game like this, because teams that shoot threes can come back really quickly and can really kind of mess a team up on the spread like this. If you see here, I'll share my screen here for you guys. Liberty has not covered a 15-point spread that often. They've played a very tough schedule with Wichita State, Florida Atlantic, Vermont. Charleston's honestly one of those underrated teams. Mountain Valley is they absolutely destroyed them. That was a 31-point spread and they won by 35. So it is something to really watch out for, is just for that spread to cover, because as you can see, Tennessee State has covered the spread a lot against like Lipscomb, Austin Peay, Alabama A&M, Southeast LA, and like Portland and Oregon. They kind of struggle to cover, but Liberty, they live and die with this 3-point ball. I think Liberty's going to be able to break this team down. I like the 14.5 here. I wouldn't take it if it goes over 15.5. I think 14.5 would be the limit. So just watch that. Even if you took like an alternate line here, you could get them like to win by double digits at 245, and you could add it in with like a Sixers money line or something that's like -700, -800, drop it down. I think that's worth a shot too. I think that's something I'm looking at, as well as maybe even a teaser on this game is something to look for. So we have that one. And the next one we have is this team all the way at the bottom here. If I could find them, where'd they go? I think they kind of disappeared on this app. Is Weber State to cover the 9.5-point spread. I love this play. I think Weber State's a very underrated team. If you notice, the big game for them obviously was beating St. Mary's at St. Mary by 4, one of the hardest places to play in college basketball on the West Coast. They've been a very good team this year. They have one of the best big men in the league that's an NBA level player. He's led the league in defensive rebounds 2 consecutive years in college. Nevada is a team that they play at their opponent's pace. Weber State likes to play at a very slow pace, and with that, they are one of the hardest teams to blow out. As you can see here, watch. Let me switch this to money line. Gives you a better view. This season, look, they have only lost one game this year by double digits, and that was against a Utah Valley team that has been fairly solid. Now, honestly, they caught them on a rough day, coming off of about a week off. That definitely did not help. But other than that, they have played very strong. They have covered the spread in every game this year, but that Utah Valley game. Even when, look, they were an underdog of 17 points, they won by 4. They were favored by 13. They win by 28 against Cal Poly. Other than that, there wasn't a book for this one because that was just ugly. They're underdog by 1. They lose by 2. They're underdog by 5. They win by 10 against Yale, who is probably, in my opinion, I think they're going to win the Ivy League this year. So that's a team to really watch out for. I really like Weber State in this versus the team who they haven't really played anyone. Portland has not the best team so far this year. Pacific has not been the best team. The Washington game was definitely something to watch. I think that's probably their biggest win was beating Washington as a 5-point underdog. But like I said, I love this spot for I love the spot for Weber State. I think they can cover the spread. Again, you could even take both of these plays in a teaser, and you could get Weber State at plus 13.5, and you could get it with what was it? Liberty at 11.5, or I think even 10.5, depending on where you find it at. So that being said, those are our 2 college locks. We are going to go into our NBA bets right after the break, so make sure you guys stay tuned.
My name's Ryan Allison. I've spent over a decade immersed in the art of tattooing. Sharply honing my skills has materialized into a diverse and prestigious body of work. Each tattoo reflects my relentless pursuit of excellence, and every client I work with is a living embodiment of that unwavering commitment. I will gladly and wholeheartedly embrace your distinct vision.
Welcome back. Let's get into some NBA action here. I'm going to kick it back over to Outlier for our first play today that I really, really love. And it is going to be this game right here and this bet right here. Plus Indiana Pacers plus 6.5. Now, let me show you why. So let's look at these two teams head to head this year. Head to head this season, they've played twice, one in-season tournament game and one regular season game. The Pacers is a 1-point underdog, 1-2 in the first one, and there was no Damian Lillard this game. The Bucks were kind of reeling to start the year, and the Pacers were hot. Now, when the Bucks picked up the pace, they were a 5-point favorite over the Pacers, and the Pacers, as a 5-point favorite, won by 9. As we saw, they've been playing great. This will be their first real test after the in-season tournament, as they faced off against a Pistons team that is, good God, are they awful. And looking at them this year, look, here's the big thing. Look, Milwaukee has struggled to cover. Even games where they should, they blow out of the Knicks and then struggling against a Bulls team that has had pretty much no DeRozan or no Levine. They've only covered this spread, 5, 7, 8, 9 games this year. Which is horrendous against some of the competition they've been playing. Look, they couldn't cover against the Wizards, the worst team in the league. They only covered once against them in 2 of their meetings. They couldn't cover as an underdog here. They couldn't even let's see, what was another undercover? They couldn't cover against the Pistons at the start of the Pistons losing streak. If you look, I mean, Atlanta, they covered. Chicago, they struggled to cover and they got beat. Miami, they covered. Other than those two, the Miami was the only one that sticks out to me. Since then, they have only covered against a Knicks team that's streaky and a Hawks team that I think was injured. I think Trae Young was actually out that game versus a Pacers team who they've only missed the spread 6 times, and that was a game without Halliburton, a loss at the beginning of the season, a game against Philly, Orlando, and Portland. That was it. And Portland went on a little 2-game hot streak, nearly beating the Bucks. So I love this play. I think this one is almost a guaranteed lock. So we're locking that one in right there. Pacers plus 6.5. The other one I've found that I do really like today is a player prop, and it is going to be Julius Randle over 1.5 3-pointers. You'll see it on the bottom of the screen here in just a second. So I'm going to pull it up real quick for you guys. So his over on threes, you can find it 130 on DraftKings, 133 on Caesars. I think it's probably 2.5 on some other books, but I'm going to double check that actually right now. But yeah, those are two. I think that's probably two of my favorite plays today. I would say probably Pacers plus 6.5 is my go-to for today. I also like if you can find it, I would take Rockets money line and Pelicans money line. You can get that like 120 on DraftKings. I think is probably the best place I have found it. Yeah. So every book has 1.5 for Randle. Outlier just hasn't updated. So we're gonna look at why I like this matchup. So first, let's look head to head. He's hit this in 3 of his 4 games against Utah in the last 2 seasons. Last 5 games, he's hit 3 of 5. Last 10, he's hit 5 out of 10. Last 25 out of 10. And for the season, he's hit 55%. Now, he's hit at least one. So if you like one and you want to add it to something as a builder, by all means, go for it. But I really want to look at down here. He's exceeded this line in 13 straight games against bottom 10 scoring defenses. He's averaging 2.5 threes a game off that. You look, Utah gives up the 3rd most threes in the NBA. Point guards, not so much. Shooting guards, a lot. So you could also look at maybe DiVincenzo's 3 lines as an option. Small forwards, he gives up about 3. Power forwards, they're giving up 2.7. Now, we all know the backup power forward in this situation is probably going to be more a role towards Josh Hart and Hartenstein and maybe even RJ Barrett. 2 of those 3 are not really the best shooters, and one likes to drive on you before he likes to take a shot. So I think if we look at the matchup here, injury-wise, quickly might be a game time decision, which is going to increase Randall's shots. Mitchell Robinson is out for the next 3 months. No Jordan Clarkson tonight. No John Collins. And you potentially will not have Walker Kessler or Lauri Markkanen because a hamstring strain and right foot soreness is not pretty for a 7-footer for both of them. So I'm looking at their roster actually right now. Who is their backup? Which means we're probably going to get like Kelly Olynyk and Omer Yurtseven, and maybe even we might even see Sensabaugh or Taylor Hendricks. So we're not seeing many big men. We're seeing a lot of the only really experienced player you could say was Olynyk, and he might be someone to look at because he usually plays good in the starting rotation. So I want to look at some splits for him before I even make that decision. But 3 key players to guard Randle are out. So I'm going to hammer this play. I like that right there. I'm actually about to add that to my DraftKings account right now. That's just a great play. I love that one. I think if he doesn't hit this, it's because he has too much availability on down low. So tonight might also be a night you could take like Randall 20 and you could take Randle 20 and Brunson 20 and make that like a parlay and get some, I want to say easy money, because if they do struggle, if they do struggle a bit, it's going to be kind of a stretch for them. But you can get that at minus 190. I think that's worth a shot as well. So that's what we have for that right now. We're gonna go over the rest of the slate real quick. So I'm just gonna switch over to DraftKings and show you guys the rest of the NBA slate and kind of give you my thoughts. Sixers Pistons. I've actually seen a little value on this one bet in this game. I want to see if it's still available. I didn't take it, but it is something to look at. The team total over under 109.5. I would take the under here. I think this is probably the best line you could find it at. I don't see a lot of books placing this one out as high because of how, I don't want to say terrible, but terrible the Pistons have been. Because I think the Pistons, I think their fortunes might change soon. The line has kind of went up and down a lot. And I'm trying to see if I can find their betting trends. They're 1-3 against the spread in their last 5 games, 1-3-2. You really can't find many you could add this Sixers thing in to a parlay if you have like a minus 200 thing that you really like and you just can't find a line for. But I don't see anything really on this one that justifies kind of a good bet per se. But I would say take that under 109.5 is probably the best play I found for that game. Pelicans Wizards, I do have a play. This play right here is probably one of my favorites for the day. Justin Jefferson is playing, so that might be why that Bengals spread's still low, but I still don't trust it. I still think the Bengals can pull that one out. Someone to look at, and we're going to go over kind of a preemptive play for Thursday night for you guys that I really like. I'm actually going to pull that up later on in the show to go over with you guys. But I like this parlay here if you want to do something for the Pelicans game. Rockets and Pelicans to win. You can get it at minus 132 as a parlay. That's probably the best bet I like for that one right now. I think the Pelicans are, riding hot. They're playing good. And this is probably the most perfect time they have to just kind of shut the door on the Wizards really fast so they don't have to worry about this matchup later on. So there we have that. Heat Hornets, I'm staying away from because my personal preference is I don't take the Heat in anything in the regular season. The Heat play 2 on and off. So we've seen kind of in back-to-back games, they tend to kind of struggle over the years historically. I want to see what they've kind of done this year. If we look, they are currently, let's see. In these back-to-back series, they're 1-1. Their only time they've done this is they lost to the Bulls in game 1 of a 1-1, and then they beat the snot out of them in the second one. But in back-to-backs, they did rest yesterday, I think, right? They didn't play yesterday. No, so in these type of scenarios, they're 1-1, so that's something to watch out for. And a lot of these games throughout the season for both teams where they're playing teams in a back-to-back type of scenario, both teams have split 1-1s. If they've lost the first one, they've won the second one. So that is something to watch out for me. So that's why I'm just not touching that game whatsoever. Same thing with Hawks and Raptors. I want to look at their injury report to see why the Hawks or the Rangers are kind of, or the why I say Rangers, God, I'm tired. Raptors. DeAndre Hunter, I did see, I don't think they're probably planning on sitting him tonight since they played 2 days ago. I don't think he sees the floor tonight. I think I saw that he's more than likely out, and not really anything different for the Raptors. I just think that's a pick 'em. It's, pick your best chance. If you like the Hawks here, I would just take them straight up. I wouldn't even worry about covering a spread, because a 1-point spread, you might as well hope they win anyway. We already talked about this game. I like the Rockets here, and kind of swap in between some parlays. I think it's a good parlay builder. I don't know about the 7.5, because if you've seen, head to head this year, Memphis couldn't cover, but in their last 5, Memphis has covered 3. They didn't cover in their last 2 games, but those were against 2 top tier teams. Whereas I might lean into it. That might be a lean, but I just would rather take the money line straight up. I'm still not 100% sold on this Rockets team. I need to see a little bit more from them. I'm staying away from this game whatsoever. There's valid reasons to this. We don't know anything on LeBron or AD. They haven't said whether they're game time decisions or not, but they haven't done anything with them yet. They haven't said, are they playing? They haven't listed them as game time decision. Usually in a back-to-back, we could see one of the 2 sitting, which in that case, it would probably be LeBron. And if LeBron does sit, I would take D'Angelo Russell's point totals. If AD sits, I wouldn't touch any prop on the Lakers. I would mainly touch probably Wembanyama's rebound line, or find like 10 rebounds and put it with something like LeBron 20 points. But because of how bad the Spurs are, we could potentially see both players sit, and I think that's why this line is so close right now. So I think that's probably the more likely option, because if you see also this year let's see, when have they played back-to-back? And back-to-back they are – so they are 1-3 on back-to-backs versus the Spurs having an extra day of rest. So I would just stay away from that one just for good measure. We already talked about Pacers Bucks. Now this total is big, and there's a reason behind this total, and that total is the Pacers make you play their type of offense. Well, the spread actually just went up a point, so maybe we might know a little bit more something about this team. But again, still stay away from this this Lakers game right here. It's not worth touching whatsoever. This Pacers game, the total is a big thing. We've seen this a lot lately. They make you play at their pace, which is shoot the ball quick and get back on defense. I just don't trust anything here. I want to see what Giannis's point line is. 34.5 seems kind of high, but I do kind of like it, because the way a lot of these teams have been able to beat the Pacers is they've just let their offensive big men they just let their offensive big men just take it to the hoop. We're gonna do this parlay actually we're gonna do a 50% profit boost on a parlay for our parlay of the day tonight. But yeah, this game, the spreads are going to be high, because they figured out that these 2 teams, and we're going to see a lot more like this as these teams tend to play. All these fast-paced teams are starting to kind of get their way, with teams just letting them do what they want. But that's big. I'm actually really excited to watch this game. I want to see if this hits. I didn't touch it, but I think that's one thing I'm looking forward to. This Knicks team, I don't know about the -5 spread. Again, this might be one, like we already said, take Randle's 3-point line. You could probably take him and Brunson 20+ points as like -190. You could probably find it better on another app. But money line -205. Again, you could put it with, like the Sixers at -675 and bring it to a 143. But other than that, that's all I would do for that one. And the last one, Nets and Suns. I think this is a stay away from because we don't know what's going on with Kevin Durant. We haven't heard anything on the injury report from him yet. You have this Nets team that this is the Mikal Bridges return game, which is interesting. But you have Kevin Durant possibly out with an ankle sprain, Grayson Allen possibly out with a groin strain, and Josh Okogie out with potentially out with a right hip injury. So there's three big key factors for this team that may not be there. And if all three of them are listed as out, I think the spread could drop, and I think you could probably take the Nets here. I think Bridges can kind of guard Booker enough to justify taking them on the spread right now. That's who it's going to be. If you look when they played last year, Phoenix won both games. Phoenix won both games, 116-112 and 112-117. So they're scoring around that 112 mark. I think you could probably even take both of these teams for like over 110 points if that's available. I want to see. You would probably have to do that in a you could take both teams to score 109.5 points in a same game parlay. And you could add in they don't have any lines for these guys up yet, but you could take like him to get 18 points and make that plus 108, or you could even take like his 25 points, rebounds, assists, and make it 102. So there are options available if you want to add in like something to make it a same game parlay. Because I don't think they'll let you. Oh, they can. You can take both teams' total points at 109.5. I might go ahead and take that. That might be a play I'm going to take here. I think that's probably going to be my best play there. So we have that. But other than that, that's what we have tonight for this game. So what we're going to do is we're going to head to the next commercial break. We're going to go over a little bit of the NHL slate because we are going to start looking into that a little bit. We're going to kind of give you guys we're going to get you guys set up with a same game parlay for tonight's game to use for DraftKings Boost. So make sure you guys stay tuned and let's lock it in.
Durham Remodeling has been serving the Quad Cities area since 1973, and with over 50 years of excellence on their track record, you'll see why it's so easy to trust their experts when it comes to all of your home improvement projects. This family-owned business has you covered on all your needs. Protect your home or building from the elements today and get great roof repair services. Need new windows? No problem. Durham Remodeling can upgrade your windows and doors. Whether you want to upgrade the little details in your home or office, or want to tear a room down and start fresh, the expert contractors at Durham Remodeling have your back. Even the smallest changes can completely transform your space. Ready to start entertaining your friends for backyard barbecues? Durham Remodeling will help you plan, design, and build your deck and patio for the perfect outdoor space. Durham Remodeling's work is 100% guaranteed, so you can rest assured that you're getting the best service around. Call 309-786-6715 today for your free estimate for all your roofing, siding, flooring, windows, and painting needs. That's Durham Remodeling, 309-786-6715.
For frequency's sake has you covered on all things sports. From the squared circle to the hardwood and the gridiron to the speedway, we've got something for everyone. Walk down the aisle with the boys from Cards Subject to Change every Sunday as they take a deep dive into everything pro wrestling. Need your gambling fix? We've got you there. Enter Pit Row with Rod Villagomez and Fast Money as we win the checkered flag with NASCAR, Xfinity, and truck race winners and props. Football more your style? Explore the waters of NFL DFS with DFS Deep Dive with Brian Craighead and Jordan Kernan each week. More into the science portion of the game? We've got a double dose of action there. The Professor John Bush and Dennis Michelson take you into their science lab and dissect your week in the data lab. Want an analytical take? Nick Gurl and the team at Gridiron AI come to you each week with The Lab. Need to know who to start last minute? The network's flagship show, For Fantasy's Sake, is here in a pinch. The fellas come to you live every football Sunday from 10 to 11:30 Central with the week's best DFS, gambling, and lineup advice. And wrap up your Sundays with Joe Winkle and Nick Brinks as they come to you live with educated ignorance looking at all the day's action. Can't get enough of Joe? He comes to you 3 times a week. Not enough football on Sunday? Not a problem. Kick your feet up at lunch on Monday and slip on into the football lounge with Mark and Dan while they look at the week that was in news, notes, and more. For frequency's sake, you know what we mean.
Alrighty, welcome back. I apologize if you guys can't hear that background noise. The apartment next to me is doing construction right now, which is not the most ideal time, but this is New York, so there never really is an ideal time. So once again, I apologize about that if that is coming through the mic. If it is, let me know, and I'll try to see what I could do to kind of knock that background noise out. So before we get into our parlay today, I'm gonna go over because we've been hit or miss on NHL, and I've been wanting to bet NHL for a while. So we're gonna go through live with you guys, kind of my thought process behind some of these, and it's a good way also to show you guys just the beauty that is Outlier.bet, one of my favorite sites. So shout out to them because they're just they have so many good plays and so much stuff to look at that most people don't think about. So we're going to start with a simple little, the first thing we have here, we're going to go through the top 5 insights they have team-wise. So the first one here is that the Sabres are 1-8-3 off a win over their last 12 games. So maybe that counts the season, but look, after they beat the Bruins 2 days later, they lost to Montreal. After they beat the Rangers, they lost 4 consecutive games. They beat Pittsburgh, they lost. They beat Chicago, they lost. They beat Minnesota, they lost 3 consecutive games. They beat Toronto, lost to Carolina. So they haven't really I don't think they've had consecutive wins this year. If you see, look, they won, lost, one lost, one lost. They did have a 2-game winning streak. They beat Colorado last time 4-0. And then they lost to Philly. So that is something to look at. But I think the fact that these two teams head to head, Buffalo has won majority. Buffalo has won the last 2 meetings, so that is something to look at. Their last 5, the teams are pretty split, 4-6. So I think that's just something I might stay away from tonight. I think Avalanche will probably win that game, but we'll stay away. Next one, the Ducks are 3-12 off a loss over the last 15 games. So if you see here this season, each team's played 27 games. Every time they've lost, they've lost 3 straight here. They actually went on a nice little 6-game win streak. And then they lost 2 consecutive, 1-2, and then they lost 7-8 consecutive games. So they've been very streaky. I feel like they win and then they've been losing some. Head-to-head last year, the Islanders won this pretty handily, and they're on a 3-game win streak currently where they scored 14 goals and only given up 8. So I kind of like that here. So I think we're going to take them. We're going to take the money line just to start. That's how I usually do a lot of these is I'll take the money line first until I get a little bit more comfortable, and then I go from there. So the Bruins are 23-6-3 versus the Devils for win their last. So if you look at their head-to-head from last season, they face each other 3 times. Boston won all 3 times and they were fairly close. So I'm curious if we go to their games, the spread, Boston's actually the underdog here. So it might be worth taking that +1.5 and finding something to put it with, if that's, kind of your take. The overs hit in 5 of the Canadians' last 6 games versus the Penguins over the last 3 seasons. So head-to-head, these 3 teams scored 10, 9, and 5. They only missed 1 time. Both teams have struggled with the over in their last 5 games, it looks like. And on the season, both teams have been kind of under machines. So that's going to be a stay away. And the last one we're going to look at, the over hit in 3 of the Islanders' last 4 games. Now, 5.5 is a low spread for hockey. This has hit both last 2 times these 2 teams played. And this season, both teams have been slightly leaning towards the over. But the last 5, let's look at them on the road. On the road this season, they have not really covered. And at home for the Islanders, they have not had a big streak of coverage. So it's probably our only hockey play today is just going to be Islanders money line, as you see right there, along with our Randle 1.5 3-pointers. So with that being said, we're going to tap in here and put together a nice we're going to use our 50% boost on any same game parlay or same game parlay X today and get a boost on it. So let's look at what we need so far. So we minimum leg of minus 500. Nothing that says how high we need to make it. 50% boost, max bet we could put is 25. So let's look at some player props that are, so I'm going to try to pull it up here. So if you guys have a recommendation, what game you guys want to see on our thing, let me know. We're going to pull up every stat I can find that we can bet on in a parlay here. We can make the alternate odds minus 500. All right. And so what I always do is I like to do the ones that have hit the most in the last 10. So first one we have, I think we need to make it all overs too. So Giannis has hit a double-double in 9 of his last 10 games. He's hit it in 5 consecutive. So what I'll do is I'm going to go straight to NBA, and I'm going to go to this game right here. I'm going to see I'm going to go same game parlay. So head-to-head against the Pacers this year. This year, he's hit one in both games. He has only had one game where he didn't hit one, and that was at the end of the season last season. So let me see if I can find another bet from this game that I really, really like to get. And we're going to put alternate lines up here as well. Let me see if this one's available here. Miles Turner over. No, I don't like that. Stat combos. Giannis double-double is a 425, so we're going to add that in. The next one I got here that kind of looks interesting to me because he got 10, but that was the way he played in the tournament. So the Bucks give up the 6th most rebound, or the 8th most rebounds to centers. They give up about 12 a game. So I think I might be looking at something for Miles Turner here, but instead I'm just going to keep looking, see if I find something. Malik Beasley over 2.5 rebounds has hit in every single game this year. So let me see if they have any kind of alternate line that's justifiable for him. You can get 2.5 at minus 450. Okay, so we have that. So let me clear out our Pacers tab. Let's see. What other ones do I like here? That one's kind of tough. That one's kind of tough. Trae Young has gotten 8 or more assists in 9 of his last 10, 5 of his last 5. So let's break this one down. This season, this line has only missed once, and that was a 7-assist game against Boston for him to get 8. Last 5, he's averaging, let's see, that's 22, 36, 45, 54. So he's averaging 10 over his last 10. Head-to-head against Toronto, he's had 10 or more in every game but 1, and he had 9. Now, the thing is And they give up about 9 assists a game, so I think I'm going to go with that. We're going to go to that game here, and I'm going to see if we're able to bet it just off this right here. So Trae Young, 8 assists. We can, but let's see if we can add anything more to it. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to add something from this game. I think one guy to look at that's been playing really well is Bogdanovich. I want to see if there's any. They don't have any lines up for him. Is he injured? Is he scheduled? No, he's not scheduled to miss. I just think they put anything up for him yet. Player threes, that should have him in it. No, they don't even have him up. They only have 3 players up for this game, so I don't know if he's questionable or what. But looking over these last 5, last 10 game, let's look at all. Sadiq Bey is someone I'm looking at his points line. So I'm gonna see what he's done since Jalen Johnson's been out, as he's kind of taken over. This season with Jalen Johnson out, other than the Boston game, he's hit 10 or more points in every one of these games. At the kind of small, he's probably going to play a little more small forward or power forward tonight. They're giving up about 20 points to both of those positions, so that could be something to hit. Let me see if I could find anything justifiable. No, 10 points you can't get. I don't know how I feel about 12. He has hit over 12 in most of these games, but I don't know why that line always worries me. Looking at Scotty Barnes now they have him listed as small forward, but he has been playing power forward. So his rebound line is 6.5. And let's see, him to get 5. That's crazy. Him to get 5 rebounds is that high. His line's at 8.5 now. So, but he's hit 6.5 in pretty much this season. He's only missed it 3 times. Boston both times, and then the Knicks in his last game. Head to head against the Hawks, he's only missed this line twice, and that was his rookie season. All 3 times he faced them last year, he had 7 or more. So let me see if I could find him over 6.5 right there. Puts it, let me make that a same game parlay so it'll actually go through. Assists, alternate assist. No, where was it? Trae Young, 8 assists. Scotty Barnes, 6.5. And we can boost that from 118 to 177. So $10 wins you 17 right there. I like that one. I think it's a nice little 4-leg. These have hit in 9 of their last 10 for both plays. So this is what we're going to rock with today. Why does it say teaser? You can't even make that a teaser. Oh, well. So this is what we're rocking with today. This is going to be our boosted parlay. As you can see here on our research tab, this is the one I actually really like the most, is this play to cash. But yeah, so that's what we're using today for our boost. And so now we're going to go into I think that's going to be it for today. I think we'll save the no sweat one for a little. Actually, you know what? Screw it. We're going to pick a random game. And I'm going to do a no sweat. We're going to do a no sweat same game parlay for that. So I'm going to pull up the spin wheel here. And whatever team it lands on, we're going to make if they play tonight, we'll make a parlay on them. All right, it came up on the Jazz. So, all right, a Knicks Jazz parlay time it is. So let's see what we got here. So Brunson has hit his points and assist line, points plus assist line, or 24.5 points plus assists in 5 straight games and 9 straight. So I'm going to pull him up right here. As you can see, head to head, he hit this both times last year, 33 of 43. So you could even take him up to 30. You can find 30 at minus 170. So I think we'll do that right there. So there we have leg 1 of our parlays right there. And he's hit 20 points in. But the big thing is let's see here. His last 5. Let me change the line to 29.5. Last 5, he's hit 4 of 5. He is 3, 6, 7 of 10 in his last 10. And this season, this line has hit in 13 of his 22 games. But think about this. He's hit this in 5 of his last 10, or 8 of his last 10, 7 of his last 10, 4 of his last 5. So I think that's probably a guaranteed lock. We could definitely take him for 20 points, but I might save that one. Randle, 20 points, I like a lot better. It won't let us actually bet his 20 plus points because of the fact that we already took him for 20. So we'll take Randle for 20 instead. What are the odds on that? 370. Yeah, might as well. Okay, so that's our first 2 legs. The next 2, so Brunson's hit his assist line in 4 of his last 5. Hang on, I'm going to get this to go over to head real quick. And we'll look at head-to-head, how these guys do. So here we go. Let me move it back. So head-to-head, Barrett's gotten at least 2.5 assists. But the big thing is head-to-head, he's hit this every single game he's played against them. But he has struggled at his last 5. 2 small forwards, they give up probably one of the lead smaller side on assists, so we'll stay away. We already took Brunson's 30. Can't take him for 24. Oh, maybe we can take him for 24.5. Let me see. We can, but should we? Nah. I think I'll stay with what we got and just be excited when he hits it. Barrett has hit 2 assists in his last couple of games, so Barrett's assist line is something I just don't trust because there's games where he just doesn't pass the ball. Brunson and Barrett are kind of the big ones here, so let me switch back to last 10. We see here Randle's PRA line. He's hit in 8 of his last 10. Head-to-head, he missed this twice. Once last year, one the year before. But the last 10 games, he's hit this in 8 of his last 10. And as we saw, he's going to be playing a lot of power forward and center. They give up the 2nd most points to power forwards, the 6th most assists, even though their rebounding is not that low. They're going to miss 2 of their big rebounders. And to centers, they're still giving up a lot of points. So I like Randle's PRA here at 34.5. You can find his regular line at 35 or at 39.5, but I just don't want to risk that. As we go down, we're going to go down till we find, and then DiVincenzo has actually been really playing well lately. He's gotten the only 2 games he didn't have assists were these. He'll probably start at shooting guard again, and they're giving up about 8 assists to shooting guards, so I might stay away from that one. And then let's do what we were talking about earlier. Let's stay with what we got. We're gonna go Randle 2 threes, and we're gonna go Brunson 2 threes. So I think that's good right there. I think that's what we take. So again, our last play of the day is going to be this one right here. We have a nice little 5-leg same parlay that we are going to be using our no sweat bet on. It is Brunson 30 points plus assist, Randle 20 plus points, Randle 35 points, rebounds, assists. Randle and Brunson 2 3-pointers each. It is plus 220 on DraftKings. $10 brings you a $32 return. That's what we're going to finish today with. That's going to be our best lock for today. Thank you guys all for watching. Make sure you guys tune in. Our full card, once we get a couple more bets in, will be posted on Twitter later today, as well as Pick'It. If you guys don't have Pick'It, it's the best tracker app you can find for gambling. You can use my code FreeThrow6100, and you get up to a $1,000 bonus from Pick'It for signing up and referring your friends. So make sure you guys tune in for the rest of our plays today. Make sure you guys tune into the rest of the network and all the amazing things we're doing over here at For Frequency's Sake. Let's lock in today, and everyone have a great night.